Amazing that somebody like Baggio could be defined by anybody for that penalty only when he was a tresquartista of magic talent.
Our next great footballing moment of the 90s takes us to France 98 and one of the most dramatic games the World Cup has ever witnessed. Having been given no hope of winning by some of the French media, the host nation would reach the final for the very first time. But to get their hands on the trophy would mean beating Brazil, reigning world champions and favourites for the title.
I can tell you at the beginning of the tournament, almost nobody in France believes that they can do something.
We cannot win a World Cup against Brazil. It just cannot happen.
Journalists were saying, you're not playing well enough. How are they going to do in a competition if they start to play like that?
Despite their home advantage, the French players began the tournament as underdogs.
We started to take the song of Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive, to become an anthem to our squad. And then we started to win games. Everybody said, wow, there is something happening.
While France progressed by virtue of teamwork, Brazil's route to the final relied largely on individual talent, including Ronaldo, one of the decade's greatest players.
He was very fast, he was very sharp, he was an absolutely fantastic player.
Ronaldo! Even though France were on home soil, Brazil were the clear favourites.
But with the final just hours away, Brazil's hopes of winning a record fifth World Cup would take a turn for the unexpected.
Now we're waiting in the press room to get the teams before the match, and there's a gasp. Ronaldo's not playing.
I think to this day, we don't really know what happened in that Brazilian locker room.
There were too many conspiracy theories.
He was at the hospital, that he had a problem, that he might not play.
Amidst the chaos, Brazil suddenly changed their lineup again. This time, Ronaldo was back in.
It was just a whole circus around the team sheet. His name was not on it and he's back on it. I said, what on earth is going on here?
Who was calling the shots? Where was the authority? What was happening?
The final kicked off with Ronaldo back in the side, and after all the confusion, France took the lead over Brazil.
Their minds weren't in that match, and you can see that.
Zidane scored the first header. I was just behind him.
It's there, and it's Zidane!
And when I saw the ball in the net, I said, oh my God, we did it, we scored that goal, it's good. And I went to get the ball, and I kicked the ball in the stand. Then I went to see Zinedine, and I hit him with my chest to chest. It's just the beginning of something good.
It seemed like Ronaldo not being himself had a knock-on effect on the entire Brazilian team because they just were not at their best that day.
Zidane was on fire. Never scored with a header. Scored twice with a header on the corner.
And you say, wow, 2-0? We're almost half-time? Okay, everything's going great, according to the plan.
The third goal for me is the most marvellous moment because this is the moment of complete, utter relaxation.
Vieira playing it in again for Petit, and it's another one!
You know you're there, and that's the moment where that you start actually enjoying the victory before the final whistle, which is a very, very rare feeling indeed for a football fan.
Brazil was never really in that game, and that's what was so surprising, because they were the defending world champions. They would be world champions again in 2002, but that day they just looked nothing like themselves.
By the time, people will forget that Ronaldo had a problem. We remember that Frank Leboeuf won the World Cup with his teammates.
After all the doubts, the French team scored more goals than any other side and conceded just 2 in the entire tournament.
I think it was a great moment for the entire country.
We took the bus, and then we arrived at the bottom of Champs-Élysées, and it was, oh my God.
There was this unbelievable explosion of national pride.
It was a World Cup about team unity. They won that, perhaps not because they were man for man the best squad that there was in '98, but because they were the great team.
You start to realize that how important is the game of football. It's the people. It links people.
Our next great footballing moment takes us to England and one of the most shocking events in sporting history. Since 1992, Frenchman Eric Cantona had been carving out a name as one of the greatest players on earth, helping Leeds, then Manchester United, win league titles. But come January 1995, it was the other side of this enigmatic player that would stun the world of sport.
There are players, and then there are gods. Eric Cantona was a god.
Eric Cantona is a controversial person. He said many things in France who made him quite unpopular.
He is the person who was constantly at odds with the powers that be.
He used to wear his collars up, bit of Elvis style, and when he used to play against, he used to turn his collars down. He'd want to elbow me when the referee wasn't looking.
Cantona being the catalyst for Manchester United's success. He was also involved in one of the most infamous incidents I can recall on a football field.
25th of January 1995, a fairly routine football match between Crystal Palace and Manchester United.
I think Eric at the time had lost his cool. I think they was drawing. I think they should have been winning the game easily.
Richard Shaw was man-to-man marking him, and all of a sudden there was a little bit of a schmozzle. Referee sends him off.
But the worst thing about getting sent off at Crystal Palace is the dugouts at one end, so you've got to walk along the whole sideline to make it to the dressing room.
So he's walking across to there, and somebody, a fan, makes some sort of comment about, I think it was about Cantona's mother or something like that.
And all heck breaks loose.
And all of a sudden, from nowhere, he leaps over there,
dispatching what can only be described as a spinning bird kick from Street Fighter 2.
I remember listening to it on the radio and hearing the commentator really didn't know how to describe it. How do you describe something like that you'd never seen on a football pitch?
It's the picture, the fear in the fans' eyes, and Eric, almost balletic, so elegant, while thrashing this man.
There's people on the pitch, there's security staff, there's police getting involved. A lot of the crowd can't believe what's happening. Everyone watching at home can't believe what happened. And it didn't go well from that point for either Eric Cantona or Manchester United.
Cantona's infamous kung fu kick earned him a conviction for assault on one of the longest bans in league history.
Eric Cantona should be suspended forthwith from all football activities up to and including the 30th of September 1995.
I think he got a 9-month ban. Something crazy, because it was live on telly. There was no getting away with it.
What affected Manchester United most, of course, was the ban for him long-term in the Premier League, because that year they lost the title to Blackburn Rovers because they lost their talisman to something that was stupidity more than anything else.
He's the only one who can explain what he did.
When the seagulls follow the trawler, it's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
The seagulls follow the trawler. What's he on about? He's lost it. Did he bang his head when he jumped into the crowd?
It was obvious what it was all about, which in English was, so you guys expect me to sit here and explain away what I did. Well, I'm not going to do it. And that was it.
Cantona's ban and controversial reaction created one of the most talked about moments in world sport. But the following season, King Eric would rise again.
I think because it was Eric Cantona, yeah, the fans did forgive him. Anybody else, maybe they wouldn't forgive him.
Well, he's the main player. He makes the team tick. We've missed him for the last 9 months where he's been out.
and he came back with a bang.
He played a truly extraordinary 95-96 season. He basically gave the double to Manchester United. I mean, he was extraordinary.
He was arrogant.